Today we're going to talk about bands who have changed singers. Some were better with the first singer, some were better with the second singer, and vice versa. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So let's get going. So there's several major bands throughout the history of music, big rock bands. This is primarily geared towards rock bands and heavier bands that have changed singers over the years. Now, some of these bands do it, and it's nowhere near the same. Obviously, the original is usually better, but I guess there's a few rare occasions where the second singer or possibly even the third singer is the better singer. So let's talk about it. First band up is Queen. With Freddie Mercury, obviously he was like a genius, and was like an iconic voice. And everybody followed Queen at that time. Everybody loved Queen. It was like, oh my God, what the hell are they going to do next? They were so quirky. He passed away, obviously. They got Paul Rodgers, who was just kind of like that middle of the road kind of rock singer. Like if you AI'd rock singer, he would show up. Paul Rodgers would definitely show up, along with John Bush. From he was in Anthrax, and Sammy Hagar. They all kind of have that rock singer voice. Nothing great, nothing. They're all really good. Don't get me wrong, but you know what I mean, like that kind of gravelly kind of whatever. Then they got Adam Lambert. Now Adam Lambert, he is a talented singer. The dude can sing for sure. But man, he just brings this whole show tunes quality to Queen, too much, like Broadway kind of quality. The guy that did him in the movies, that sang all the vocals for the Bohemian Rhapsody. That guy was phenomenal. There's a couple other singers out there that are phenomenal, but maybe the same exact isn't always the best option either. So anyway, that's my take on that. Judas Priest. I can't remember if Rob Halford was fired or he quit or what the deal was, but when they found Tim Ripper Owens and got him in the band, that movie Rockstar, if you've never seen it, was loosely based on that story. Tim Ripper Owens was a singer in a tribute band, a Judas Priest tribute band, and they discovered him when Rob Halford left the band, or they kicked him out, or whatever the arrangement was, which is the same as in the movie. It was the band was Steel Dragon in that movie. But anyway, that was kind of the story there. So he comes on, he does a couple albums with them, and sounded phenomenal. He sounded very similar. I'm not a big Judas Priest fan, so I don't want to say he sounds exactly like Rob Halford. But if I were just casually listening to them on the radio and I don't know their songs very well, I probably wouldn't know the difference. So I think he did an amazing job. AC/DC. Obviously, Bon Scott was the original singer and passed away. I think he choked in his own puke. After he passed out in the car. And then they bring Brian Johnson on. So I don't know. I don't really have a dog in the AC/DC fight here. I like them, but AC/DC to me is kind of like, if it's on the radio, it's like, oh, okay, cool. Tap your toe, whatever. And, he shook me all night long and all that good stuff. But I've never been like an AC/DC fan. So I like both versions. I like the Bon Scott. It's got a little bit more of a, I don't want to say an indie feel. That sounds kind of hokey, but I don't know. It was a little bit more, maybe just older. I don't know what it is. But I like that version. I like what his vocals were to AC/DC. Brian Johnson, he comes on and they write and record and release the biggest record that they've ever had. One of the biggest rock records in history, Back in Black. So how do you argue that? Different style, same kind of core, gravelly kind of voice, but Brian Johnson has got this grunt. I think Bon Scott was a little bit more melodic, had a little bit more, maybe capabilities. I don't know. But then again, you see Brian Johnson in his old band before AC/DC, and it was like, oh my God, he's got a normal voice. Anyway, Anthrax, Joey Belladonna. I know they had a singer before him. I'm not familiar with that era of Anthrax. I think it was just their first record. So I don't know enough. I haven't listened to that album enough to really get a good sense of what he was like. So this is strictly based on Joey Belladonna, who I think is Anthrax. I think Joey Belladonna Anthrax is the Anthrax. And then John Bush. I think they kicked out Joey. I can't remember. I think they fired him though. I don't know. It just wasn't working. So, and then they hired John Bush. And I just never, like I mentioned before, he's just kind of one of those rock singers, like the cookie cutter rock singer. I just didn't care for them with him. Like, yeah, they had that song Only, and people, you know, that found them then. That's like the only Anthrax that they know and they love. But I just don't like, to me, it's Joey Belladonna. Black Sabbath. I mean, they have had Ozzy, Dio, Ian Gillan, Glenn Hughes, Tony Martin. I mean, I don't know. From Ian Gillan, Glenn Hughes, Tony Martin, all those, I don't like those records. I don't really care for them. There may be some hidden gems in there that I like, but for the most part, I just think it was kind of like, okay, you know, you had 2 runs at it, and they were your best 2. So I don't know. You're just kind of spinning your wheels there. But Ozzy, obviously phenomenal, iconic. You know, they created the genre of heavy metal with Ozzy. And he went on to as the Prince of Darkness, to do his own thing. It was just phenomenal. Then Dio comes in, who had been in Rainbow before that. And I think Elf before Rainbow. I can't remember. I think it was Elf and then Rainbow and then into Black Sabbath. And I mean, he was just phenomenal. I mean, it's Ronnie James Dio. You know, the dude is like, he's a fucking legend, man. So there's not one that's better than the others. I think I like the songs better with Ozzy, the songs that were written with Ozzy in the band, as opposed to Dio, but they're just 2 different bands to me. So I like them both. But I think the Ozzy wins out a little bit. Alice in Chains. So Lane Staley and William Duvall. Now, obviously, I've said in videos before, I'm a huge Alice in Chains fan. I love Alice in Chains. Dirt is one of my favorite all-time records. So Lane Staley, with his range and the grit in his voice and the mood and the power, everything about his voice, he's got the most unique voice, I think, in rock, period. I think he had I'm going to say it, I think he had a better range, not just a high range. I think he had a better overall range and more control over his voice than Chris Cornell did. Chris Cornell had that kind of Dio-esque, like, you know, kind of an approach. But Lane Staley could fucking go anywhere. He could do that growl. He could do that super low growl. Those ranges he would go from up, down, all over the place. It was just mind-boggling. So William Duvall, I don't know. He was in a band called At the Fall, I think it was called, and their band was Jerry Cantrell's solo band on the Degradation Trip tour. And he started coming up, William Duvall started coming up and singing all the Lane songs that Jerry Cantrell was playing in his solo band. And that's how it all started. So years later, he got in the band. They decided to start making records again. But which one's better? I mean, everyone says that William Duvall sounds just like Lane Staley. I don't think he does at all. I honestly don't think that he sounds like him in the least. Maybe just in like a tonal way. But Lane was just, there's no comparison. But Jerry Cantrell sings most of the vocals anyway in Alice in Chains now. So it's really, I like Alice in Chains because of who they are. I mean, William Duvall, to me, I just don't see much of a contribution from him. So I'm not really sure. Like, he doesn't sing on a lot of the new stuff. And so I don't know. Obviously Lane Staley, but now Jerry Cantrell over William Duvall. There you go. Iron Maiden. I mean, Paul Di'Anno, Bruce Dickinson, and Blaze Bayley. Paul Di'Anno on those first 2 records, I think, was essential. I wouldn't change those at all. I love hearing those songs live with Bruce Dickinson. I think Bruce Dickinson is the superior singer. I mean, the dude has just got a range and can do anything with his voice. You know, it's unbelievable what he can do. And Paul was very limited. He had limited range. He had a little bit more of a punk rock, I guess you could say. I hate using that term for that. Not punk rock. He wasn't punk rock at all. He just had a little bit more of a gritty voice. Didn't quite have the range and the staying power that Bruce Dickinson has, and still has. It's fucking amazing. The dude's like 65 years old, and he's just like destroying it still. Blaze Bayley, I had lost track of the band at that time. I have not given those records a full swing. What I've heard, I didn't really care for. I don't think he was a strong enough singer for Iron Maiden. Obviously, on this one, I got to go Bruce, but I love those first two Maiden records with Paul Di'Anno. I mean, they have so much character to them. But Blaze, sorry, man, you know, it's Paul and Bruce. Bruce is on top. Paul, Blaze. I'm sorry, bud. Deep Purple. Deep Purple's had tons of singers. You know, Rod Evans, Ian Gillan, David Coverdale, Ian Gillan, hands down. I'm not going to get into it on Deep Purple. I mean, everyone knows Ian Gillan version of Deep Purple was hands down the best. So you can disagree. That's fine. Journey. Greg Raleigh was the original lead singer, and he plays keyboards. I don't know. They weren't anything special back then. They were good. They were more like a jam band, like Santana kind of a band. Then Steve Perry comes along and just completely kicked all the walls down for that band and made them massive because of what he could do and the direction that he wanted to go in. He brought them to a more pop accessible audience, where I don't think Greg Raleigh would have done that. I think they would have pretty much broken up or just, had a revolving door of members in the band, but they found Steve Perry and he was amazing. I mean, Arnell, it's almost like he is so gifted and so talented and sounds just like Steve Perry, but so much so, it's almost like seeing a hologram or something, of Steve Perry. Maybe with a different face or something, but like that's what it seems to me. Like it's amazing talent that he has, that Arnell has, but he's not. It seems like it's too close, I mean, in that instance, I think a little bit of difference in singers, too, that don't sound exactly alike, kind of with Tim Ripper Owens as well. It's almost like a hologram because it's just too close. Last but not least is Van Halen. This one was coming. This is probably the most iconic singer change ever in rock. And I guess it depends on your background. I know Pink Floyd and all those bands did too, but maybe not as one as publicized as Van Halen. Now, for me, it's all David Lee Roth. I know he struggles as a singer now. I don't think his vocal quality that has suffered. I think he tries to be some improv jazz singer with his hey. He's a fucking kook now. David Lee Roth is off his fucking rocker. He's just a kook. He chooses to sing all these old Van Halen songs like way off, and like the band is here and he's like trying to dance all over, but it's like he's tripping all over the place and it's just really bad. So back in the day, Van Halen, David Lee Roth era, hands down over Sammy Hagar. I mean, there's no question about it for me. There's not even much of a discussion. They had grit, they had attitude, they had balls. They sang about all different kinds of shit, and Sammy Hagar comes in. It's kind of like that again, that cookie cutter rock singer. He's amazing. He has got a range, but like he kind of falls into that John Bush kind of, kind of a singer, kind of a rock singer, just that middle of the ground, like dictionary definition of a rock singer. But he didn't have any real attitude, I never felt. Like David Lee Roth had all kinds of attitude, and it came through. And they made iconic songs. I mean, Van Halen got into being a pop hit master with Sammy Hagar, but it was nowhere near the same. Gary Cherone should have never happened. So anyway, that's my top 10. I'd like to hear what your thoughts are on this. And I don't know what I'm going to do next, but something else. I'll probably do a drum cover soon. I'm getting my studio revamped here, so I may start doing some drum covers here and there. But anyway, where I started. That's it. All right. I'll see you on the next one. Later.